All right, so with that, I'm going to turn things over to Alex to talk a little bit more about the role that essays play in the admissions process at Georgetown.
All right, thank you so much, Vinay. That was an awesome introduction. Now, before we begin, I do see there's one question in the chat that asks, can you go over the 600 word limit, 650 words instead, if your essay is still 1 page long? And to that, I would say, yes, you can. However, I found when I was applying to Georgetown and I used my Common App essay, I had to cut my Common App essay down a little bit. I would say you could probably get away with 620-ish words for your Georgetown kind of personal statement essay, but you probably can't get to the full 650. And we're going to go into that essay in more detail later on. And with that, now I want to talk about why essays are incredibly important when you're applying to Georgetown in general. So essays, as you all know, are a crucial step of applying to any college, right? But Georgetown particularly values essays. In fact, essays account for up between 25 to 35% of the admissions decision. At most schools, the number is at like 25% or below. So Georgetown really does value the essays. And in a moment, we're going to talk about exactly what they're looking for in these essays and what they're really valuing. What is Georgetown looking for exactly in your essay? There are 4 main things that they're looking for here. The first is, will you be a positive addition to the campus community? Now, every college is really thinking about this. And really what they're trying to do is they're trying to imagine what you're going to be like when you're on campus and what you're going to do as an alum. So they're thinking about things like, what extracurriculars are you going to be joining once you're on campus? What cool events at Georgetown are you going to be participating in? Are you going to be going to Georgetown Day festivities? Are you going to be going to the diplomacy talks they have at Georgetown, where you get to talk with a current or former diplomat about a variety of topics? Or maybe perhaps you'll help run student government. Maybe they'll think that you'll be the next GUSA or Student Senate president. So there are a lot of different things they're trying to think about when it comes to who you are as a person. And they're trying to think about what value and impact you're going to have on campus and also beyond, right? Who are you going to be after you graduate? Obviously, no one can really predict the future here, but your essays, perhaps better than anything else, give colleges just a really good idea. And so beyond that, they're also looking for proof of strong personal qualities like determination and resilience. So Georgetown has a set of core values. One of those is cura personalis, or this idea of kind of care for the whole person. And Georgetown applies that to admissions too. That means they want people who are interdisciplinary. They want people who are very open-minded and who are ready to explore all the world has to offer. And so that's just one example of a core value they're looking at. But of course, they do value things like loving to learn, or also caring about others and striving to make the world a better place. And then beyond that, there are 2 pretty related things they're looking for. They're looking for authenticity, both in your reasons for wanting to enroll at Georgetown and also pursuing your intended major. And this is important because Georgetown University does get a lot of applications, and a lot of people apply really because it's a prestigious school. People do this with pretty much all the prestigious top 50 schools, places like Harvard especially. But Georgetown in particular doesn't really like people just applying for the brand name. In fact, the main reason why the Georgetown application is not on the Common App is just so they can reduce the numbers of people applying for clout and prestige and so on. They want to actually make it extra work, so they're really getting applicants who just like Georgetown authentically and have key reasons for wanting to go besides the fact that it's a good school. So those are the 4 things they're really looking for. Vinay, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add is that, or it's a point that stretches across both of these slides, right? So when we talk about essays accounting for 25 to 35% of the admissions decision, that is true if you look at things in a global sense, but oftentimes for a school, for Georgetown, it's that last 25 to 35%, because there's a lot of students who are applying to Georgetown who've got that those qualifications on paper, when it comes to the grades, when it comes to the test scores, when it comes to the extracurricular resume. And so really what it boils down to is the essays. That's often that deciding factor between applicants. And I think I would add that when it comes to the essays, a really good way of keeping track of these sort of notions or questions in your head is the rest of your application, your resume, your grade, your test scores. That's about the question of, are you qualified to be a Georgetown student? And then in the essays, what they're really trying to answer the question of is, do we want you here? Are you qualified to be here, but do we want you here? And so that's where these aspects really come into play.